Unemployment in the UK is climbing again, and this time it's not just about numbers, it's about workers giving up, businesses shutting down, and a job market that's slowly collapsing under pressure. So what's really behind this quiet crisis? The UK, once a global powerhouse of jobs and industry, is now facing a quiet storm. Tens of thousands struggling to find work, and many more quietly slipping out of the workforce altogether. If you felt like the job market just isn't what it used to be, you're not alone, and you're not imagining it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the UK's rising unemployment crisis in 2025, uncovering the real reasons behind it, and what it means for your future. We're digging deep into a problem that's not just growing, it's evolving. This is the real story behind rising unemployment in the UK. The numbers are worrying, yes, but the causes, far more complex. From pandemic aftershocks to Brexit's long shadow, from broken systems to new technology. We're connecting the dots that mainstream headlines don't. Let's begin with what the data shows. After the 2008 financial crash, UK unemployment soared, peaking at 8.5% in 2011. Recovery followed, and by late 2022, unemployment hit a historic low of 3.7%. But, that optimism didn't last long. By mid-2024, the rate had quietly risen to 4.4%, and early 2025 saw it creep past 4.8%. Still low on paper, but honestly, don't fall for it. That slow rise is a sign of deeper fractures in the UK's job market. Behind every fraction of a percent are real people. New grads struggling to get a foot in the door. Long-time workers suddenly laid off. And those with disabilities or limited digital access left behind by rapid change. So what's really behind this trend? Let's break it down. The pandemic didn't just pause the world, it rewired it. Entire industries in the UK, from retail and travel to hospitality and entertainment, were decimated almost overnight. Government furloughs helped soften the initial blow, but when the support ended, reality hit. Businesses closed, jobs vanished, some shifted to part-time or zero-hour contracts. And then came the transformation. Remote work exploded, and automation and AI accelerated. Customer service and admin roles vanished or, moved abroad. Those who could adapt did, but honestly millions couldn't, especially older workers and those with limited digital skills. What began as a health crisis has now left behind a permanent economic scar. Brexit wasn't just a political shake-up, it was honestly an economic earthquake. Ending freedom of movement, well, it dried up the EU labour pipeline, the NHS, farms, logistics, restaurants, all of them depended on EU workers. Suddenly those roles were left unfilled. And British workers? Many just couldn't or wouldn't step in. Why? Low pay, harsh working conditions, and, jobs located far from where people actually live. Meanwhile, many skilled professionals, both British and EU-born, had left the country altogether, feeling uncertain about the United Kingdom's direction. This brain drain really hit sectors like finance, tech and education quite hard, and honestly, they're still recovering. Employers are, desperate for electricians, IT specialists and nurses. But the education system just keeps producing graduates in fields where there are simply too few jobs. So, a really shocking report from 2023 revealed something quite worrying. 2/3 of UK businesses are facing critical skill shortages, and well over 800,000 young people are not in education, work or training. And that's not just a disconnect, it's actually a broken system. If you add in the lack of soft skills, which is mostly down to missed in-person learning during lockdowns, you end up with a generation that's technically educated, but honestly, practically unprepared. There's another layer to the UK's job crisis, one that hardly ever shows up in the statistics, but you'll hear it loud and clear if you talk to real people. Loyalty just doesn't mean what it used to. Across the country, employees are walking out of jobs they just started, not because they're lazy, not because they're ungrateful, but because the workplace culture is broken. The old promise, work hard, be loyal, and you'll be rewarded, has crumbled. Today, many companies treat staff as disposable while preaching that you should just be thankful to have a job. that mentality. It's toxic, and it's one of the reasons workers are quietly exiting, not just jobs, but entire industries. People who genuinely want to contribute find themselves undervalued, micromanaged, or burnt out by poor leadership. So the issue isn't just job availability, it's really about how people are treated when they're employed. And, often the problem isn't the workers, it's actually the management. Poor communication, lack of appreciation, unrealistic expectations, and dismissive attitudes are, pushing good employees away. The result? High turnover and, low morale. And a growing sense that, honestly, no job is really worth staying loyal to anymore. So when we talk about unemployment, we can't ignore what's happening inside workplaces because, people don't just want a job, they want to feel like they matter. Until companies start fixing their internal culture, many workers will continue to leave, even when there are roles available. The robots aren't coming, they're already here. From AI chatbots replacing call centers to self-checkout machines and automated warehouses, jobs are vanishing. And, it's not just manual labor, it's white-collar roles too. Accountants, marketers, even writers are, really feeling the squeeze these days. New jobs will be created in cybersecurity, data science, and robotics, but here's the issue. The people losing jobs now aren't being retrained fast enough to take on the jobs being created. Where you live in the UK matters more than ever. While, London thrives with high-paying roles, many regions like the North East, Wales, and parts of Yorkshire face unemployment rates that are, double the national average. Former industrial towns were left behind decades ago, and honestly, they never recovered. Poor transport, underfunded services, and weak internet really make it hard to escape, and relocating to a major city, that's expensive, risky, and just out of reach for many people. The result? Entire communities are stuck, not by choice, but by circumstance. Here's something shocking. Over 9.3 million working-age people in the UK aren't working and aren't looking. Some are carers or students, but many are simply disillusioned. So why is this happening? There are zero-hour contracts, low wages, and honestly, just a whole lot of burnout. There's no trust in employers anymore. Employers are crying out for workers, but, millions are opting out, not because they're lazy, but because the system just feels broken, and that really isn't just unemployment. That's a collapse of trust. Youth unemployment is now at 11.5%. That's more than double the national average. And in some areas, it's, even worse. Young people are leaving university saddled with debt and entering a job market that demands experience from those who have never had the chance to gain it. Apprenticeships are scarce. Entry-level roles require years of experience. It's a brutal cycle. And if the next generation can't break into the workforce, the UK is facing not just a labour crisis, but a long-term collapse in innovation and growth. The UK's rising unemployment in 2025 isn't just about people losing jobs, it's about a system that's no longer working for the people it's supposed to serve. So we've seen how the aftershocks of the pandemic, Brexit, automation, a broken skills system, and honestly toxic workplace cultures are all colliding to create something much deeper than just a temporary downturn. Entire regions, are being left behind. Young people simply can't get a foot in the door. And millions are so disillusioned, they're not even looking for work anymore. And those who are working, many feel undervalued, overworked, and frankly disposable. This is no longer just an economic issue. It's a social one, a cultural one, a warning sign that something fundamental needs to change in how we define, value, and support work in this country. If we want a future where opportunity is real and fair, it's going to take more than job ads and training schemes. It'll take a full rethinking of how we treat workers, build industries, and invest in people. The UK can recover, but not without honesty, urgency, and action. So, is there hope? Yes, but only if bold action is taken. We need, a national reskilling revolution, mental health support for workers, and real investment in regions left behind. A social safety net that supports people with dignity is, honestly, absolutely essential. And most of all, we really need a rethink of what work should look like. Because, behind every statistic is a real person, a story, and, a future at stake. This isn't just about the economy. It's about identity, purpose, and honestly, who gets to be part of the future. The United Kingdom's unemployment crisis isn't just about lost jobs. It's about lost confidence, lost direction, and a system that honestly feels out of touch with real people's lives. If we don't act now, the long-term damage could, well, reshape an entire generation's future. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you see the bigger picture, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more deep dives into the real issues affecting the United Kingdom. We're not just following trends, we're unpacking the truth behind them. We're breaking down the trends shaping your world, one video at a time. See you in the next